Yep. Okay, so shout out to Corbin. Corbin wanted a shout out, so there you go, Corbin. You got one. And now we're going to look at using the sine rule to find an unknown side. So yesterday we did the sine rule, and that was that looked like this. We had A over sine capital A equals B over sine capital B. And we used that sine rule for finding what part of a triangle? What part of a triangle did we use that rule for? A side, for finding a side. Today I want to look at finding an angle. So there's one little modification that we make. So that's for finding a side. And when we're finding an angle, we want to make the formula work for us more easily for angles. So all we do is we write the angle part of the formula on the top of the fraction. So the relationship is still the same because they're still in a fraction relationship. We've just reciprocated both of those fractions. We've swapped around the top and the bottom. So that's the form of the sine rule that you use when finding an angle. Alright? So you guys have to look at the triangle and think, well, am I being asked to find a side or being asked to find an angle? And then once you've decided that, choose which formula you're going to use. Okay, so with this example here, we're being asked to find an angle. So the first step is to write out the formula. So I'm going to write out sine capital A over A equals sine capital B over B. What am I going to do next? What can I do next? I'm going to label the sides. Alright, so I've already got my angle labelled as A, so I'm going to label the opposite side as what? Little a, okay? And then the other side I'll label as B, and so the opposite side is going to be lowercase b. Alright, now what, Leighton?
Put in the values.
Yep, put in the values. So we're going to have sine capital A, no value for A because that's the angle that we're looking for. Little a is 5. And then we've got sine 73 over, and then little b is 6. Okay, so this is a little bit like an algebra equation where we're solving for capital A. So I want to get rid of that 5 off the bottom. So how am I going to get rid of that? Yep, times both sides by 5. So times 5 on that side, times 5 on that side. So my 5's cancel out. All I'm left with on that side is sine capital A. And on this side, we're going to have 5 times sine 73 over 6. Alright, now when you get to this stage, you can use a calculator for this step if you want. We're still not going to quite be there, but I'll show you what I mean. So we'll bring up the calculator, and I'll go into that normal run mode there. And I want to make sure I'm on degrees, so I'll go Shift Menu, and then just go down to angle and change that to degrees. Okay, so that's on degrees now, so I'm good to go. Alright, so because we're working with fractions, I'm going to put brackets around the top just so that my calculator knows that all of that's on the top of my fraction. So I'll go bracket 5 sine 73, bracket, and then divide by 6. So there's my answer, 0.797. Okay, so we can write that for our next line. So sine A equals 0.797. Alright, so I've got what sine A is, but I actually want A. How am I going to find what A is? Do what? Sort of. What's the opposite of sine? Yep, sine inverse. So we'll come up here. So my next step is going to be write A equals sine inverse 0.797. Now when I come to put that in my calculator, I click Shift sine to get that sine inverse, which is sine with that little negative 1 there. And then instead of putting in decimal 0.767, what will I put in? How do I get the exact value from my last answer? So I go Shift and answers that negative button next to EXE, and that brings up the answer of your last calculation. So it's totally exact. There press XE, and there's our exact angle, 52.8 degrees. So in this problem, the angle that we're looking for is 52.8 degrees. So there's quite a lot of work there, and it's quite intimidating when you haven't seen this before, but if you break it down, it's not too bad. Your first step is showing the formula, okay, which is given to you anyway, so you don't have to remember the formula. You'll probably remember it after you do some problems, but it's given to you. And then you're labelling your triangle, putting those values into the formula, and just working out the rest with your calculator. So long as you do it step by step, there shouldn't be too much problem. Okay? So on this one note underneath, there's some work for you to get on with. I will put up the answers eventually, but that's what I want you to get on with now.